That is so neat. And I like my mama heart. I have a 7 and a 9-year-old, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I love all of that. And I'll give a huge community of mamas who listen, and even entrepreneurial moms who have that passion to seed their kids and the next generation in what is the mission that God's laid on your heart, and to do that at such a young age, and not even to know, like, she had no idea what she was seeding, right? And I think that's one of the coolest things in the release element of how she stewarded. Like you said, it was never forced. It was never something that was a clear expectation of like, if you don't, then this, right?
Mhm.
It was just that invitation. And what you're doing with Get Lit with Prayer is an invitation. You're not forcing it. You're not condemning, like you said, which is so powerful. I'm curious because with a lot of the coaches and the people in the spectrum of founders and innovators and trailblazers, which is the acronym for FIT, a lot of people are taking their testimony and they're kitting it into a unique framework, and then they're creating all their content from that space, and they're either turning them into a coaching or a thought leader, or potentially even nonprofits or apps or things like that. How much of your personal life do you actually share? I'm curious.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I'd say from the content that, like, our pillar content is encouraging content. So, because for me, just in the way my brain thinks is like, I want things to be easy and I want us to be able to produce it at scale over and over and over and again. And like when it comes more to like my story in my life, I think I save time to do that during like live streams. So I'll go live
Mm.
Monday through Friday on Instagram, just connect with our community, share things that is going on in the Bible, be able to answer people's questions. So I think that's where I can share a little bit more about my life. I would say that that's something I haven't done a good job of, because I've always come back to that side of like, it's not about me, it's about like what you put on my heart, God. And that is to encourage people through the power of prayer. But that's something I've been wanting to do and think about more of. And I think as we move into this mental health space of, starting a nonprofit, starting to make content around mental health, I can share more of my story. But I think right now that's being done more so through like live streams where I can sit there and hang out, because every piece of content I make is like 30 seconds long. It's very short. It's hard to
Yeah, you don't
tell
have
that
time.
story.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
that. I just honestly think about all of the people who are probably, and I'd be curious to know this, knocking on your door. And as you continue to grow and God continues to show himself through the abundance of this ministry, they're going to have questions on like, how did you do this? Like, I want to do the same thing. I have this message on my heart I really want to share. I have this desire, because this is why people come to me. And if it was in book format, or if it was in something where like people could actually follow the trail of your spiritual life connected to how this has become fruitful. And
Mhm.
I love that we started the show out with saying, I've been doing this for 12 years. This isn't new. It's not new to me. It's not new to God. God had this like kind of in the stewardship perspective, Alpha and Omega, right? He knows the beginning and the end. And so I know that that's going to be something that's going to be an asset to you, in to be able to share from a mental health perspective, to be able to share from the fitness perspective. I mean, think of all of the different kind of offshoots of support that you'd be giving to your community in the process. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I've definitely thought about that. Like how I look at Lit with Prayers, it's a media company around faith,
For
and I
sure.
want to keep building that. And that's
For
like,
sure.
I have a very long, like I look at things from a long, like time
Yeah.
horizon.
Yeah.
And, yes, we have things, we have books and we have jewelry that we sell. So I guess people could think of us from that business landscape of a marketplace ministry as we have like physical products. But then you think of, there's coaching, there's other things that can be done. And I think something I'll eventually tap into is like helping Christians start, media companies around
Yeah.
whatever they're passionate about. I've already seen it happen in our community. People have been inspired by my stuff to start praying or doing their own thing. And to the competition conversation we had before, it's like, there's no competition. Like no one can be better at you than being you, and
Mm-mm.
that
Mhm.
authentic you that God has put inside of you, the gifts, the talents, the calling. Like you don't need to worry about what, there are other people praying on social media. And I think that's
Totally.
great, because we're all doing the work of
Yeah.
expanding the kingdom and getting people to know Jesus. So for me, I think, in a couple years, as we continue to build this, Christian media brand and the nonprofit, I could see myself stepping into a lens of that creator economy for Christians, because it's still, I think, so new, especially for Christians.
Yep.
Like, yes, the creator economy has been around for a little while, but it's like
Yep.
only getting bigger. And it's so cool to see Christians step into this, whether they're, you don't have to share your face on a video. You can do audio. You can
Yep.
even pray for someone and have text over the
Yeah.
screen on
Yeah.
Instagram.
Totally.
That shouldn't stop you from wanting to do something that you feel inspired and led to from God. So maybe in the future, I could do something to help Christians maybe get past that hump of like imposter syndrome or something like that, or even like a conference for creators who are Christians, I think would be cool.
Totally. Yeah, I totally 1000% agree. I have so many people that I want to connect you with, even just after this call, to be able to share that there are obviously people doing these kind of things already from a media perspective, and yet they also need the a simultaneous construction of how to do it better. And so I think that's where we lean on each other in those connection points. And I'm super excited because the marketplace ministry space that's my niche. That's my favorite place to hang out, because I love entrepreneurship, but I love Jesus more. And I want Jesus to be in all of those places that people think are good ideas. I want them to all be like just God ideas, and for them to have that revelation that they really didn't construct what they think that they constructed, right? Like that's a God thing. And to give him the glory in the process, it changes everyone who's connected to that community, everyone who's ever been, just blessed by their ministries. And so now it's just kind of sharpening people in the marketplace into the revelation that it's actually God who's in control. And we know this, but it's hard for people who have always kept faith as a complete separate entity to their works, right? And we know faith without works is dead, but it's this element that like people, they just think of it as their Sunday service. They just think of it as the sidebar to who they are. And if we can really help, and what you're doing is allowing this to be the case, is really help people come into this fullness of their identity based on every hour of the day and everything that they're struggling with, because he's in the middle of every single thing. And he doesn't want us to isolate ourselves in any spectrum, including our business. So I'm just pumped that you're here. I'm pumped that we had an opportunity to connect. I'm so excited for people to get invested into your community and through your prayer to know Jesus more intimately. And the Bible stories specifically, I think, are so rad because there are going to be all of the community members who are just blessed by you from a non-invasive, non-preachy, non-church boxed experience that are going to come to know the Lord through your ministry. And for that, is the well done, my good and faithful servant, that he is just so proud of you. And I hope that you feel that love and that you just sit in the knowing of your belovedness to him every single day.
That means a lot. Yeah, it's been an amazing journey. It's been a little over 2 years. And I'm like, well, what could we do in 10? There's so much. And I think I'm the type of person who's like, what else can we do? How else can we help? I mean, that's why the podcast exists. That's why this year I was like, I want to write every day. Let's just do a daily devotional. Like, I love to just try to take on more. If it doesn't work, that's fine. But it's like, that's the thing that's always been inside of me, is like, I want to help people. That's why I was in fitness like for so long. And, now we're doing this, but I think God can do so much more, and he's calling more people to step into this kind of industry. And like you said too, when you kind of make your ministry your main thing, you will spend a lot more time building your relationship with God. Like, it's been amazing and incredible for me to just see how much more I've gotten into the word, and everything that I do, everything in my life now just surrounds that. So, I know there are people who look at it where like, oh, can I start a business around my faith? But it's like, what do you think God would rather you do? Go to a job and spend 40, 50, 60 hours a week doing that has nothing to do around your faith, or spend all your time doing something that puts your faith at the forefront. So,
that literally gave me like goosebumps, because it's so true. Like, he just wants to spend time with us.